All right, give me your name and age.
Tyler Boyett, 17 years old.
And what car do you drive?
Number 1 mini stop.
My name's Cameron Cornell and I'm 14 years old.
Michael Rawson, 15. Cole Lexham, 18 years old.
Ronnie Newsom, 17. Hobby stock, number 8R.
Dalton West, 17, the Black 75 Enduro.
My name is Daniel Thompson. I'm 16 years old. I drive the 31 in Enduro and the 31 in Pure Stock.
All right, how long have you been racing?
For about 5 years.
I've been racing since March of 2012.
This will be my first race. About 15 years.
This is my second year.
This is my third year.
Well, this will be my fourth year racing.
And what got you into racing?
My granddaddy.
Your granddaddy, was he a driver too?
Yes, ma'am.
And what's your granddaddy's name?
Billy Joe Boyett.
My father's past racing career got me racing.
And what's your father's name?
My father's Steve Cornell.
My dad always growing up at the racetrack and always being there.
What's your dad's name?
Jim Ross. My dad raced cars from right before I was born until I was probably almost 4 years old, and then he sold his race car and bought me a go-kart.
And what's your dad's name?
Robbie X.
My dad,
And who's your dad?
Lee Newsom.
Well, Danny and I moved in a while here and just decided to get something to spend some money on, so that's how we got into it.
What's your daddy's name?
Jack West.
My uncle, and I've been around it since I was born.
And what's your uncle's name?
Glenn Thompson.
All right, and who are your biggest influences and why?
I'd have to say my parents and my grandpa, because they've always been in it and I've grown up around it.
My biggest influence would be my brother and my dad because they've always supported me for racing and they've always kept me in it.
My dad, because I just want to be like him, successful as he was. My dad, just because he was such a success when he raced. I've always looked up to him. He's been like my best friend, so that'd have to be my dad.
I guess just my dad. I don't really have another influence just because I've always grew up watching him and just always wanted to race like he did.
Probably Daddy. You know, I just try to keep a good head. You know, don't get mad. Keep a good attitude no matter what happens.
Well, it has to be my uncle because he puts every dollar he's earned and all of his time into the cars. That inspires me to race.
What do you think your driving style would be?
Well, I reckon it would be laid back and wait to get to the front. I reckon at times it could be pushed straight to the front.
My driving style would be kind of calm and collected until the last 5 laps and then hard.
I like growing up in the go-karts is more laid back and relaxed. I'd say kind of laid back in a way, patient, and then some sort of aggressive.
Just conservative and trying to avoid idiots.
Pretty laid back, you know, just try to keep it all in one piece.
Conservative.
And is driving a skill you think that's learned, or you think it's a talent that you're just naturally born with?
I believe it's a talent that you're born with, and it can also be a skill that's learned.
I think driving is a skill that you learn because not everybody knows how to drive, but it comes to it.
I think it's a little bit of both. You have to learn how to deal with your surroundings, but definitely being smooth is skill. I believe in some cases it can be a talent we're born with, just depending on what you have going on and what kind of equipment you have, and then it could be what you grow up into and get good at, but it just can be either or.
Like my Uncle Ronnie says, you either got it or you don't. You can't really learn it. You just either got it or you don't.
I think it's both. I mean, you know, you gotta have some talent, but you can learn more experience you have.
You can be born with it, but you have to know what you're doing.
And where would you like to see yourself in the future with racing?
NASCAR.
I'd like to see myself with professionals in any kind of championship or series.
Well, everyone's dream is NASCAR, but I guess I give it a coach. Well, I'm hoping that this time next year we'll be running full-time in the ARCA series, and then hopefully we can move up to NASCAR.
It's about what everybody else used to do, make it NASCAR, World of Outlaws or something.
I'd like to be in late model a couple of years. That'd be nice.
Well, if I wouldn't be able to drive, I'd want to have something to do with it. It don't really matter what it is.
Is it hard for younger drivers starting out? What are some of the obstacles you think y'all have to overcome?
Yeah, I believe it is harder for younger drivers to start out because you have the older men that are wanting to win and they push you around like you're grown, so people expect more out of you.
I believe it somewhat is harder because people don't think you can drive cars, and you have to learn how to drive cars before you take it on the track.
Well, definitely being a young kid on the track, everybody's trying to watch out for you because they think you'll mess up and stuff like that.
Just racing, when you move into cars, you gotta race against the older guys that's been racing for a long time, and they know the ropes a lot better than the younger guys, so they want to push it a little harder than we do and try and beat us, so we gotta try and outrun the older guys.
You gotta just kind of avoid what all the older people say. They don't really pay you a whole lot of respect. You just gotta make a name for yourself.
Yeah, for younger drivers, I think it is. You know, all the older drivers, they ain't gonna respect as much as they do each other. They just gonna say it's a young kid, you know, try to push him out of the way.
Some of the obstacles might be like like my little brother, he's kind of terrified of the car, but you know, once he gets a little bit older and more experienced, like it'll be easier.
All right. And what do you have to give up for racing?
You have to give up a lot. I've given up sports and time hanging with friends and everything else.
You say it's worth it?
Oh yeah.
You definitely have to give up other sports, time with friends to work on cars, and any other activities like that.
Well, the lake house is the first thing, and all the friends and stuff like that always trying to hang out.
Friends mostly. My friends I don't have at the racetrack on the weekends, they want me to go out and hang out, but I'm either getting the race car ready or at the racetrack, and then sporting activities. I played baseball my whole life, and then whenever I moved up to high school, it was time to play on Saturdays, and I had to give that up because of racing.
Going and hanging out with friends, my whole life. Everything's a 24/7 job.
Just a lot of time, just, you know, a normal teenager has, working, you're always in the shop, working on the car.
Girls.
Who are your biggest supporters?
Well, I'd have to say my biggest supporters were my parents and my grandpa, but I had sponsors as well.
And who are some of your sponsors?
Flowers Nissan of Thomasville, Hearst Boiler, Tower Tech out of Metcalf, Georgia, and Cars Unlimited out of Moultrie, Georgia.
My biggest supporter would be my family, grandparents, parents, and brothers.
What about your sponsors? Who are
My
they?
sponsors are Freedom Trailers, English Summer Day Spa. They're always helping out.
Rusty Ingram and Chris Sanders, they helped me out a lot, and Dad, of course.
And who are some of your sponsors?
Scruggs Concrete, Howell Landscape, Carlton Construction, and Burton Brooks.
My parents.
And who are your sponsors?
Medicare Supplement Insurance Service. That's Ben and Charles Judah, Checkered Flag Septic Service, and Karen Corbett Race Cars.
My dad and Johnny and my mom and just all the people who help.
And who are some of your sponsors?
Zeddy City Pressure Washing, Window Fuel, got Inox, lubricants. I guess that's about it.
My grandparents, my daddy, and I got a few sponsors, South Georgia Off-Road and Tire from Nashville, and BJ's Detail Supply out of Adel.
My family and Mr. Royce and Miss Joe Jordan, they help me out a lot.
All right, and who are some of your sponsors?
Well, my Uncle Glenn and Mr. Royce and Miss Joe help me out, and just everybody that comes around.
And what would you tell younger kids who might want to race when they get older?
Work hard at it.
Definitely do it. It's a fun experience. You learn from it, and it's something to do on the weekends. It's just a great experience.
Just don't give up and keep at it.
Just, you got to be dedicated to it. If it's something you really want to do, you got to put in the hard work, and you got to practice, and you can't give up. It's one of them things that one weekend you can be good, the next weekend it won't be your weekend. So you gotta have the drive and the motivation to do it.
Just start out in the back and ride around until you get comfortable with racing and being around other cars. Don't just bonsai to the front.
You know, just don't stay out of trouble. It's a good way, you know, to stay off the streets, don't get in trouble. Just talk to your mom and daddy, I guess.
It's a big dedication. You have to really love it if you want to do it.